it has been a slow start for winter sports, but the snow will be here before we know it.
That's right. If you're heading out to the ski hill or perhaps ice rink, do it safely. We have Dr. Matthew Axtman, a sports medicine specialist with the Spectrum Health Medical Group here to talk to us about this really important topic. And Dr. Axtman, I think a lot of us would be really amazed at how many injuries are sort of winter sport related every year.
Yeah, so when you take a look at the winter sports, the sports that you're talking about, skiing, snowboarding, sledding, skating, hockey, snowmobiling, so all the winter sports that are outside. Of course, you have basketball, indoor volleyball, wrestling, things like that, but we really want to focus on the outside winter sports. And there's approximately about 20 to 30 million injuries that happen per year. Now, that's an underreported number because so many people get injuries that don't report them, and they just kind of self-diagnose and take care of themselves on their own. And the age range where these injuries usually happen is between the ages of about 5 and 14 where you see a lot of these injuries. But once again, those are the parents that are taking their kids, and the parents and the adults themselves are treating themselves for those injuries. And the majority of these injuries are very minor, bumps, bruises, sprains, strains, but a lot of them can be serious. Getting fractures, you can get ligament tears that require surgery, and especially head injuries in a lot of these sports.
Yeah, that's a little bit scary. I'm thinking about those sports that you mentioned, and I see one thing that seems to be a commonality is sometimes high speeds.
Yes.
So what does that mean? How do we prepare for that? I mean, is it certain gear that we need to think about wearing or protection of sorts?
So protection, yes, definitely in skiing and snowboarding. So one of the big things that I always talk about in regard to skiing and snowboarding is you've had all of this time off during the spring, the summer, the fall where you haven't done anything. Don't go into skiing, snowboarding, some of these winter sports cold. You want to make sure that you're conditioned going in. And if you are a beginner, make sure that you take some beginner lessons, some introductory lessons.
There is no shame in that.
No, there's not at all. You don't want to go with your friends who are doing aerial jumps, going down double black diamond hills, and think that you can do that also. But definitely in regards to equipment, you really want to have the correct fitting equipment. So you don't want to get hand-me-downs from brothers, sisters, go to Goodwill and just get hodgepodge of things. You want to make sure it fits right. So getting the proper skis, boards, bindings, boots, to make sure that they're all right. And then other things along with that too, wearing goggles, especially out on the ski hill. If you run into a tree, you've got protection from the sunlight that can cause issues with the eyes too. Helmets are very important. I always highly recommend a helmet anytime that you're skiing, anytime that you're snowboarding, because head traumas are horrible, and there is a lot of deaths across the country every year because of head trauma. And even sledding, I recommend that you wear a helmet when sledding. Now, you don't have to go out and buy a fancy helmet, just a simple bike helmet to make sure that you protect yourself, especially if it's icy snow, because that tends to be really hard then.
And there are a lot of hidden dangers too. If you think about even sledding around a neighborhood or something like that, you know, you've got cars that are nearby, you have garbage cans, you have mailboxes, fire hydrants, those sorts of things, which, I mean, when you add some velocity to it, you're right away making yourself into this propelled object that if you stop quickly, all of a sudden you have a big problem.
Find a safe hill away from roads and streets, because you don't want to cross those or you don't have a chance to go in. And a lot of people are always daredevils, and they always do crazy things in the hills because they want more excitement. So, but you've just got to do it smartly and safely to the point where you're not going to have any injuries. So things like sledding downhill on your stomach, it's always recommended that you sit up and sled downhill. Don't stand on a sled either, because you can always fall down and injure something that way.
Okay, so as a parent, let's say you have a child that comes back from a game or a practice, or maybe was just out sledding, says, hey, I fell, I hit my head. When do you know whether you should take that next step of going to see a doctor?
If you notice that things, whether it be a shoulder, knee, hip, head injury, anything like that, doesn't tend to go away within a couple of days. If it's a bump, if it's a bruise, definitely get in to get seen so that you can get evaluated and treated properly. really treat concussions. If there is a head injury, if they have a chance where they hit their head and they come in saying, oh, my head really hurts, the light's really bothering my eyes, you need to get in and get seen right away for that to make sure that there's nothing bad going on, because you don't want this to progress into something worse or last a longer period of time and get the correct treatment for those things.
Mm-hmm. And we know that so many schools are taking it more seriously with concussions, so
yes.
You protect your kids at school, you protect them doing their regular sports, make sure that you have the same cautious consideration when they're playing their winter sports too.
Correct.
Outside. Well, thank you, Dr. Axtman, and of course we can get a hold of you through the Spectrum Health Medical Group. I know you guys are always willing to help us out.
Yes.
It's good contact, good information.
Yes, absolutely.
Mm-hmm. We'll be right back.
This is 8 West.